I recently came across the blog of pianist Emily Franzen. Franzen holds the position of adjunct professor of music at the Delgado Community College in Louisiana. She is also a piano teacher at the Hall Piano Company in Metairie, Louisiana. Franzen wrote an interesting post, which is a commentary on Nine Inch Nails founder Trent Reznor's statements about traditional music lessons. These statements were part of a movie that Franzen was watching by Dave Grohl called Sound City. On a more personal note, I am proud to write about an artist who started his band in my own hometown of Cleveland, Ohio. I would like to comment on his statements one at a time, but first you might be asking, who are you? My name is Daniel Broniatowski. I am a concert violinist with advanced degrees in violin performance up through the doctoral level. My new music school, the Maestro Musicians Academy, facilitates lessons in all instruments in Boston, Massachusetts, Baltimore, Maryland, and the World Wide Web. We currently focus on classical music, but hope one day to add folk musicians to our faculty. We offer strings, woodwinds, brass, piano, and vocal teachers to ages 4 through 104. So, let's begin with Mr. Reznor's quotes. Quote number 1. My grandma pushed me into piano. I remember when I was 5, I started taking classical lessons. I liked it, and I felt like I was good at it, and I knew in life that I was supposed to make music. Trent Reznor. It seems that Mr. Reznor had an inner voice, or an inner calling, that told him that music was what he was supposed to do with his life. I would say that many, if not most, musicians feel this way from a very young age. We are naturally expressive and get joy out of sharing our gift of music. We like to feel that our music makes a difference in your life and that it is appreciated. In my opinion, the best musicians know that making good music is about sharing our talent, not about receiving applause. Quote number 2. I practiced long and hard and studied and learned how to play an instrument that provided me a foundation where I can base everything I think of in terms of where it sits on the piano. Trent Reznor. All teachers and performers of music know that it takes very hard work to play any instrument well. In fact, there is a well-popularized line going around the classical music community about needing 10,000 hours, I think that's about 3 hours a day for 10 years, in order to become an expert at an instrument. From my own experience, I can certify that this is more than true. Mr. Reznor's first instrument was piano, and because he had that foundation, he could branch off and become the artist that he is. He took his tools and crafted his own music. This is commendable, since it personally speaks to a unique audience. Quote number 3. I like having that foundation in there. That's a very un-punk rock thing to say. Trent Reznor. Many people today create this dichotomy between classical and pop music. To some, it is, in a sense, a snobbish way of saying high art versus low art. While there certainly is such a thing as bad pop music, as there is bad classical, what these individuals don't realize is that both pop and classical music can only exist with each other. What, you say? Classical artists need and needed pop musicians to compose? I'd like to remind my fellow classical music lovers that many of the great composers borrowed folk tunes and incorporated them into their works. Arguably, the greatest 20th century example of a classical composer to do so was the Hungarian Bela Bartók. How about pop music that borrowed classical material? Click here on the annotated link for plenty of musical examples. Quote number 4. Understanding an instrument and thinking about it and learning that skill has been invaluable to me. Trent Reznor. Here, I particularly wish Reznor would elaborate. I would love to hear why understanding an instrument, thinking about it, and learning that skill has been invaluable to him. From my own experience, I can tell you that the violin is a tool. It is not the be-all and end-all, but rather the means for communicating ideas, thoughts, and feelings. Professor Franzen, in her post, has written very similar words. When a serious musician trains, he or she eventually reaches a point where the technique transcends the instrument. In other words, learning violin for its own sake is not enough. There comes a point when being a good technician or a good player only takes the instrumentalist so far. A well-rounded musician, on the other hand, is able to take the skills and perform music with a message. For Professor Franzen, music strives toward personal happiness. For me, I believe that the messages imparted touch us on a very deep level, for music transcends the spoken word. This allows the performer and listener to connect on a highly personal and profound level.